Welcome back to another episode of Talks with Anselm. Our host today is once again Anselm of Canterbury, who is a well trained Benedictine monk and author of the Cur de Homo. Let us welcome him. In today's episode, Anselm will be interviewing his student Bozo, as we will take the next minutes to go in depth about the Cur de Homo.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Talks with Anselm. How is your day going?
Thank you for having me. My day's going great. How is yours?
It's going well. I've just been thinking about what I've been teaching you lately.
Well, I've just been pondering a few topics lately, and I just need some clarification.
Okay, so go ahead.
First, there are obviously many who question why was it necessary for God to become man and bring salvation on behalf of all through his own death.
Well, as I've said before, those who object to our faith insult us when they say that God was born of a woman. It was fitting that as death entered the human race through sin of a man, that life should be saved by the form of man as well.
So you're saying that it was necessary for humanity to be saved by human?
Yes, I think it was fitting.
Those who question this believe that these statements don't hold actual fact. What are your thoughts?
It was not God's purpose that his creation suffer. His purpose could not have been fulfilled unless his creation can be liberated by the Creator himself.
So your implications say that human redemption could not have been carried out by none other than a divine person. There are skeptics who don't understand why God could not have accomplished such a task through another human being.
Yes, unbelievers can protest to these objections. In order to liberate humanity, God was compelled to take action against the devil. Humanity belonged to no one but God, so it was appropriate for him to be punished and bring justice to his own creation.
Okay, that's understandable.
Human beings who have sinned could not avoid sin or punishment. They are punished with God's just judgment.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I agree. Punishment of sin had to be brought on to save humanity for their damnation. This is why he endured his own death to save human beings.
Why do you think it was necessary for God to do all of this?
Because the human race could not be saved except through the death of Jesus Christ, who is both divine and human. Jesus was that person who is one person in two natures, both divine and human. Though his obedience to God the Father, he endured death on his own in order to save human beings.
That is very true.
His obedience to the Father consisted of him in not abandoning his own life, but preserving justice to humanity. No one else was able to accomplish such a feat. Such an act showed his love for humanity, which the Son himself suffered to save humanity.
You are right. The human race could not have been saved in no other way than through the death of Jesus, who died not out of necessity, but of his own free will.
So if it was fitting that as death entered the human race through sin of man, that life should be saved by the form of a human being. What exactly is sin?
For short, when you sin, you recompense.
So, from what I remember from your teaching, when an individual fails to pay back what he or she owes to God and takes away from him is rightly his, and dishonors God is sinning. If one is sinning, then they must recompense to God by repaying God the honor they have stolen from him. Okay, so from my understanding with sin, there should always be recompense?
Yes, you are correct. So can you give me an example?
Okay, I'll go ahead and try. For example, if I took away someone's honor by telling them something negative when that topic is something they truly hold close to their heart, and I end up not recompensing not justly, and I do not repay back the dishonor, then maybe I am a sinner?
It's not maybe, but it is I am a sinner, because you did not pay back that dishonor you gave to that person.
Okay.
So now that you have a better understanding of sin, do you remember what I taught about punishment and honoring God?
I remember you mentioning that it is impossible for God to lose his honor. Also, if I were to sin, I can end up losing my happiness and everything that is good. If we'll have to find a way to pay back what I lost to God.
Okay, great. So going back to sin and recompense, can human beings be saved with recompense? What did I teach you about that?
Well, I do know that in order for humans to be saved, they must recompense. A sinner's sin can never be left unpunished because that sinner will not be happy. The sinner will not be restored if there is no recompensing. God does not owe anything, especially to sinners, and everyone has some type of debt to pay to God. Overall, humans who sin will not be saved unless they do recompense. And if they do, then they'll be saved.
That is good. That is a good way of summing that up, Bozo. So, should recompense be proportionate to the sin? And can human beings recompense their sin on their own?
I basically owe God everything that I have because God did everything for me, whether I did sin or I didn't sin. Technically, sinning is very serious.
Yes, you are correct. And tell me why that is.
When we sin, it is an act against God. In context, if I were to sin against God's will, and I think about the payment I will have to give for that sin, I basically don't have anything greater to give because sin is that serious. God is constantly telling us not to sin, and when we do, we are going against God's will. Bottom line, sin is very serious. So when I sin against God's will, I must be taking certain things away from God.
Yup, that is right. So the question now is, what exactly are you taking away from God?
I think that I recall nothing is really taken away, but that it can be hard for humans to receive what God intended to give to them. To do so, they must repay God back everything that they took away from God. By doing so, God will be able to then recover what is lost.
Great job, Bozo. Sadly, our time here is coming to an end. I am very proud as your teacher that you were able to retain a lot of information that I taught you before today's episode. You were able to recap humanity with the connection to believers and unbelievers, as well as sin when death entered the human race. Once again, thank you, Bozo, for joining us today on this episode of Talks with Anselm.
Thank you for having me.
See you folks on the next episode of Talks with Anselm.
I was looking and it's like...